Hey friends, in this video I'm going to show you how to write a simple 8-bit chiptune bass line. My name is Carlos Rios, I am the founder of Pixels to Music, and I am here to help you become a successful, highly skilled and knowledgeable video game composer. So back in the days of 8-bit music, composers like using a triangle wave to make their bass sounds because triangle waves have a lot of natural higher frequencies. So oftentimes 8-bit consoles such as the NES and the Game Boy did not have speakers that were capable of producing good quality low tones. And well, the NES console didn't have speakers, but the TVs that we used to play the games, they didn't have speakers that were really good at producing those low tones. The triangle wave's higher natural frequencies help to create the illusion of being able to hear the fundamental notes. So you will hear these higher notes that you know belong to the note, or you could at least perceive that they did. And you could almost imagine that low note being there as like a ghost. Now, obviously you don't have to use a triangle wave to write your bass lines, and even for 8-bit chiptune music. But to my ear, likely because of this little bit of history, using a triangle wave just makes more sense. Now in this particular video, I'm going to be using the 8-bit Magical Plug 2 instrument that I use to make whenever I just want to make music that sounds like pure 8-bit music. This is what I use. It's a great synthesizer that is easy to use, it's intuitive, and it's completely free. So I recommend getting it using the link in the description. But really any other synthesizer that you have that can play a triangle wave should work. Hey, just real quick, if you're enjoying this content and finding it useful, why don't you let me know by leaving a comment, or if you have any suggestions, or if you're not finding it useful, do let me know in the comments. All right, so this is the major scale. It contains exactly 7 notes. We then repeat the 1, again an octave higher to close up this scale. So there's a simple formula behind where these notes come from. Before I tell you the formula, let me explain the difference between what's known as half steps and whole steps. So a half step is the closest distance between 2 notes in traditional Western music, at least. It is also called the minor second interval. Yeah, so for example, in a piano, that would be precisely the distance between adjacent keys. Now, whole step is also called the major second interval. In a piano, you can play a major second interval by playing keys that are separated by exactly 1 key. So every other key, you're playing whole steps. All right, so back to the formula of a major scale. Like I said, there are 7 notes. Now, if we pay attention to what happens as we move from note to note, we can extract this formula of whole steps and half steps. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. My wife uses "we walk home" when we walk home, right? Or just memorize the letters. WWH, WWH. This is why we need this formula, so we can have a starting note and then build using this pattern of steps over that note. And so whatever that one note we choose that we're going to build a pattern over, it becomes the main note of our major scale. So you will see we're in the key of that note. So if we're in the key of C, we start on C and then we build the scale on top of that. If we're in the key of G, same thing, we play a G and then build the scale on top of that. And that's how we get our numbers, right? This is also what's called the Nashville number system, or just, the major scale, counting from 1 through 7. Now, I told you these number system so that it's a little bit easier to wrap your head around this particular way in which I'm going to show you how to write a bass line. So what you're going to do is you're just going to select 4 notes, right? 1 note for each bar of music. So again, we have 7 numbers, so just pick 4. And it is okay to repeat, just don't do it too much because the bass line will be kind of boring. Like if you just pick 1, 1, 1, 1, then you have kind of a boring chord progression bass line. Now for this example, I'm going to be choosing a very commonly used chord progression that's used on pop music and all of that, which is the 1, 5, 6, 4. You've probably heard this, like if you're familiar with writing music or even just listening to a lot of music, you've probably heard this pattern, the 1, 5, 6, 4. All right, we're going to do it in the key of D major. Okay, so at this point, we already have a chord progression, a bass line. You know, we could put this on a bottom of a track and that would be good enough. Let's listen to this. For example, I have this little percussion line and let's see what it sounds like. Right, it's fine, it works, but let's discuss how to make it a little bit more interesting. So the first thing I want to say is right now we have whole steps. We have whole notes, which are just one note per bar of music, which is really slow, long note, right? So what I want to do is I want to make all of these notes be an 8 note instead of a whole note. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double these, boop, like that. So you have 2 8 notes. They're double like that, and I'm going to make these lower. So I'm going to select all of them, Shift Option down, and that's going to bring them an octave. And I'm going to select, by holding down Shift, I'm going to select the second note of the 2 little 8 notes, and I'm going to bring all of those 1 octave up. So this octave jumps are very common on bass lines, and just keep things moving, making it feel more alive without really doing anything fancy, really. So now I selected everything over again. I'm going to bring everything back down. So now we have this figure right here. It's so funny, notating those quarter notes, but you know, going up an octave and coming back down. So let's hear it. So it already has a little bit more motion to it. So what I want to do is I want to lead from one chord to another. So we have a 1, 5, 6, 4 progression, like I said. So from 1 to 5, the 5, the 2 notes around the 5 are the 4 and the 6. So I'm going to make it go to a 4, which would be a G. Cool. Now for this one here is going to be your 6. I'm going to go from, since we're already on a 5, I'm going to make it go to a 7 instead. It's all right. It's not the best, but it sounds okay. And for the 4, I'm going to pick a 5. Right, and I'm just adding this at the very end, little 8 notes to help us go from bar to bar, so you can see there. Okay, let's hear it again. Now it's going to loop back to the 1, so let's do a 7. So our 1 is a D. So let's do a C sharp, which that would be our 7. Let's add a little syncopated note here to make it a little bit more groovy. Let's see what that sounds like. And by syncopated, I mean it's offbeat, right? This right here would be beat number 3, so I'm pushing it an 8 note off of the beat. Same here, pushing it an 8 note off the beat. Same here, same there. So let's see what that sounds like. Yeah. It's a little bit more groovy. I think it should be faster too, maybe like 144. All right, so that's our bass line. Now it's been completed. And as we discussed, the bass line you created outlines a chord progression, right? So again, if you want to learn to create more chord progressions, this is actually one way to go about it, what we're doing here. But if you want to learn other ways to create chord progressions, I recommend you download my free strategy guide. You know, as humans, we tend towards the same patterns and end up creating the same kind of music all the time. So I created these 4 strategies to help me break the mold and come up with new and fresh chord progressions. If you're interested in getting the guide, you can simply follow the link in the description. Now, if you found the video useful and you want more content like this, do make sure to subscribe, and not just subscribe, but hit that notification bell so you're notified when I have a new video. So thank you again for sticking around, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.